From the Fans Talk Wrestling family at fanstalkwrestling.com, this is episode 24 of Fans Talk TNA and covers the April 3rd, 2015 episode of Impact Wrestling on Destination America. My name is Garvin. As always, we are joined by Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Hello, hello, hello.
Now, Fans Talk TNA is a podcast series that is brought to you exclusively by the paid members of the FTW community. You can check out fanstalktna.com for all the information on how to support and how to subscribe. We've made a few changes over there, so you can definitely check it out, and also the full archive is there as well. So Nick, this week on TNA, this was basically called the Bell to Bell episode. It was a night of a lot of wrestling. We got EY versus Rude, Angelina Love versus Gail Kim, Magnus versus Bram in a Falls Count Anywhere match, and then in the main event, Lashley versus Angle for the title. Out of the four matches that we got, where do you want to start? What was your favorite match?
Oh man, that's a good question. Probably the main event. Magnus versus Bram. I don't know if I call it a close second, but I did enjoy that quite a bit. But far and away the main event. Lashley and Angle tore it up again. As expected, I guess. It's becoming pretty much a given that if those two are in the ring, they're going to put on one hell of a match.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a solid technical showcase between these two. These, they both have that amateur wrestling style. So lots of suplexes, lots of, ground and pound type scenarios. Overall, yeah, I'm with you. That was a solid match. That really, we don't really see all too often. Usually there's just a big brawler, or you've got a guy that is very fast, and these guys, they're both evenly matched, it seems. You just have you have the older veteran Angle, and then the younger version in Lashley.
Yeah, this match was probably the only time I will ever have occasion to give the Impact Zone crowd props when they started a "This is wrestling" chant.
Yeah,
and it is. I guess a broken clock has to be right twice a day.
Yeah, I'm with you as far as the Impact Zone. I don't know if you felt that way throughout the entire event, but just thinking back to what you said last week. I was looking at the crowd a lot more often this week to see if that carried through, and yeah, it was bad. It was bad just because, not because of the verbal reactions, but even the facial expressions. When Bram and Magnus were on the outside, it was as if these people, these kids, even like the kids weren't even in the match. It was just odd that, you're here for a wrestling event and you should be a wrestling fan, but it seemed like a lot of people that were on the ringside level, especially on the rampway, had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, it probably comes from looking and talking at each other than watching the match. I saw that just about every single match. I don't know why you would be there. Yeah, I know that they probably got the same kind of deal that they used to have, where you can get them for free if you buy a ticket pack for Universal Studios. But why would you go in there and sit down for a wrestling taping that's at least 2 hours long, if not longer, if you don't care about the product?
Yeah,
or even wrestling in general. Like I get that if all you've watched is WWE and you see Impact Wrestling, okay, I like wrestling, so yeah, I'll sit down for this. I don't know who these guys are, but I'll watch. It's just mind numbing.
Yeah, no, it's a shame. I have felt the same way about WWE shows that I've gone to, as far as live pay-per-view events, even where the fans just kind of sit on their hands. It's like they're there for the experience, but going to be as quiet as possible. Not really get into it, and lots of back and forth conversation. But yeah, that's all we got from this crowd. But the match itself, really the entire night of matches, bell to bell was a good way to describe it, because of the type of matches that we got were just so entertaining by themselves. So let's talk a little bit more about this match. Again, we We talked about how good it was as far as just the style of wrestling that we saw. Lots of tension as well, because you've got Angle kicking out of the spear, you've got Lashley kicking out of that second rope Angle slam, and then how this match ended, where the ref didn't check Lashley's shoulders to verify Lashley's shoulders were down. So, who knows where they're going to go next. But obviously, I think it's going to lead to a rematch in some capacity. It has to.
Yeah, definitely. I imagine that there's going to be another contender between those times. But yeah, Lashley's shoulder clearly wasn't down. They made a big deal about that on commentary. So yeah, it's obviously leading somewhere.
This was a perfect opportunity for a authority figure. Like, if we knew there was someone like tangible that we could see, that we could hear from to book these matches, I think something like this would be almost acceptable. But because there's this unknown of like, well, who's going to book the match? Who books any of these matches? It just seems odd. Like, I don't know. It's just a strange way to go about doing things. But from a storyline perspective, having an authority figure here, I think, would make things a lot easier.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Personally, I've been enjoying the fact that we don't have an authority figure, since we've just gone so long having Hogan and Bischoff, and then Dixie was around, and then Angle was a guy, Sting was a guy, MVP was a guy, and it's been one to another to another to another. And I like this period of not exactly anarchy, but it just feels, I guess, natural, organic, the way the matches come together. Like, it's not just somebody arbitrarily saying, all right, you two, get together, holla holla tag team match. It's
well, sure. I mean, I don't think we necessarily need a physical on TV authority figure. Just having like just the knowledge, the stated fact that there is someone backstage that is booking these matches, putting these cards together. I think it would make for a much more logical story than what we have. Like, what we have is just like expectations based on, assumptions of how the story is going. But like, there's never like that next step. There's never that, like that God voice saying, all right, this is where we're moving forward. So to me, it just comes off awkward, because you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, sure. When there's controversy like this, it definitely does help to have a higher power around. So, yeah, I definitely agree with you there.
All right, so we got another Rude versus EY match. That was what we started off the show with, and overall they booked this as the final match between these two, and EY won. Were you surprised that EY made Bobby Roode submit?
I was. I really was expecting this to be what's lately resulted in a clean sweep, with Roode just winning match after match. I guess I should have expected that EY would get a victory at some point or another, but I guess I was hoping that this really would be the end of it. And maybe it will be, because the way they're selling Roode's knee injury and the way that EY really exacerbated that, maybe Roode is going to be on the shelf for a little while.
Yeah, as far as this being the final nail in the coffin, as far as the storyline goes, it almost required Roode to win, because EY has lost pretty much every other encounter so far. So for EY to win, you almost kind of like need like that next step. Like, it's almost unacceptable that Roode came up short.
Yeah, I see that, and I fully expect them to come back after a while and have the for real final match. I guess they're going to build this as the final match for now, like maybe for a month or two.
Yeah. You talked about how EY, basically took out Roode's leg. The one thing I noticed that I thought was funny was that the entire match, it seemed, at least when EY was going in that direction, he was going after that left leg, but every time he put the figure four on, the figure four was going on the right leg. There was no mention of that by commentary, but I thought that was an interesting weird way that they went about things.
Yeah, there was one moment when EY was was fixing to slam Rude's leg on the steel steps, and he started to do it with the right leg, and then switched to the left real quick. So yeah, it definitely seemed like EY had a little bit of trouble remembering which leg was supposed to be messed up.
Yeah.
On the other hand, the figure four has always struck me as something that does a lot of damage to both legs at the same time. So that didn't really strike me as a contradiction, I guess.
Have you ever had the figure four put on you?
I have not.
Okay, so the premise of the figure four is the leg that is basically at a 90-degree angle.
Mm.
Your ankle is on top of your knee. So it's like you're sitting, cross-legged basically. And then the pressure is being pushed down on that knee. So it's your knee that is getting the pressure. The one that's getting the ankle pushed against it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I don't think it affects the fore leg at all. So for that to be the leg that was not being targeted, it was definitely weird for me. Just kind of like a weird mistake.
Yeah. Now that you explain that, yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, but it doesn't take away from the match. I mean, overall, the match, the story that they told was good. But yeah, it's just for a fan's point of view, at looking at this, heel versus face, to have this be the final match and to have the face not go over, it's weird. So there has to be another match, which is a shame. Just because this was the final match, which was right after the last match that I'm pretty confident was billed as the final match. So
yeah, just as an aside, Brian Hebner refed both this match and the main event, didn't he?
I believe so.
I don't know if this is it might just be me, but he got a ref bump, or he had some kind of foul up in both matches, and it's seemingly the trend in Impact that in any major match, there's going to be some kind of shenanigan with the ref.
Yeah, there's ref bumps or distraction roll-ups or, yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm kind of wishing that there was some kind of consequence for that.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before, as far as just the fact that, we went months before we had a clean main event win. There was always something happening, whether it's ref bumps or just people, the ref getting distracted or other people getting involved. It's been like that for a while, and it's such a cheap way to book, as far as that being your consistent method of booking. It is odd, and I am also feeling that way. I am getting tired of seeing that same kind of thing over and over again, especially like you just noted in your kickoff match and your main event.
Yeah, like at least with Hebner being out of position, that's a little bit different than just your standard Vince Russo ref bump.
Right.
But yeah, these guys really need full contact suits. They need somebody around, like an authority figure, like you brought up earlier, somebody to whip them into shape, to really dress them down for screwing up like that. Again,
an authority figure would be awful nice here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we also had Bram versus Magnus. We finally had like that culmination match. These two have been at it for about a month and a half now. So to finally see them fight again. I mean, I think they fought a few weeks ago. So this is kind of like the rematch of that. Magnus went over Bram this time around. Your thoughts? Did you like this match? Do you like the story? Do you like where they're going?
I do. And the match itself wasn't really anything special, but all the different ingredients in it now and the potential directions that it could go, I find those to be really intriguing. For one thing, Mickie James keeps coming out and involving herself when Magnus really doesn't want her there, if only for her own safety. And then when Bram corners her, Storm runs out, of all people, and makes a save.
Yeah,
I know that they're close friends in real life, and I like the fact that he was able to justify it like that, but Magnus clearly isn't okay with it, and I don't imagine Bram's going to be okay with Storm essentially costing him the match. So I was thinking about this after I watched this, and it makes me think there's two directions that they might go with this. Now, either one, Storm is turning from the hardcore heel persona, which I don't like that implication because that, to me, that basically sounds the death knell for the Revolution. The one that I would prefer would be if this leads to Mickie James turning on Magnus and joining the Revolution. And maybe a possible direction for that would be with Magnus basically having his soon-to-be wife stolen from him. He might turn to Bram, and they might team up against the Revolution.
Man, that's very intriguing. I'm not against it, actually. I like that second one better. It is weird because they made a big deal to push the idea that Mickie James and Magnus are actually married in real life. So to suggest that they would put a story in that would separate the two in some capacity is kind of odd. It's unrealistic. I think is the good way to look at it. So I don't know. But the idea of Mickie James coming back to the ring, which has been discussed before, I think would be really cool, and having her as the female member of the Revolution, I think would also be cool. It would add some more legitimacy to them and give them something else to, go after, another title to go after. So, yeah, I'm definitely with you there. The idea that Bram and Magnus would partner up again,
yeah,
that's rough.
That would depend a lot on how Bram sees Magnus after the ass kicking he took. Bram seems to be very much a guy that if you manage to beat the shit out of him, he respects you. So right. Maybe that would lead to them being bros again. There's definitely a stretch involved, and it would take a lot of creative booking, but I think the avenue is open for that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I think it overall would make sense if that was the direction they were going to go into. Hopefully they explain it well if that is the direction they go in.
Yeah.
When I was watching this live, to me, I was trying to also think of why would James Storm get involved here? And the only thing I could come up with was just the fact that, Storm tried to recruit Bram, and he tried to basically get Bram to take out, I think it was Matt Hardy for him. Which didn't happen. He didn't take out Hardy. So, to me, it was almost like maybe it was a revenge thing. So, I don't know. But just the idea that they would turn Storm face in some capacity, or have this be the end of the Revolution. I don't like that idea, especially with the video package that we saw, the little cross promotion that we got between Revolution and Ghost Asylum. Yeah, I think that would be a bad move. So, but I definitely like the idea of Mickie James being a member of the Revolution, especially in the Knockouts division. And yeah, your thing makes total sense. I'd be into it.
Who do you think would be Mickie James's counterbalance in that scenario? If there were to come a point where Magnus and Storm faced off and Mickie James was in the match with Storm, who would be Magnus's partner in that scenario?
You would almost assume that they would go with Gail Kim. I think Gail Kim has the most history with Mickie James. Outside of that, who else is a face? Would they put Taryn Terrell in that role?
I could see it. The question would be whether she would be done with Kong by that point. But yeah, Gail Kim makes a lot of sense to me. Unless you were to bring back ODB, which I don't see happening.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, I just can't. I just don't look at anyone else on the roster being good for that role. But having Taryn, well, Taryn is the obvious face that could fit in any role really. But Gail Kim, I think, has the history that she would probably be in there to try to help convince Mickie James that she's making a mistake and that she needs to get away from the Revolution.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Speaking of the Knockouts, real quick before we close up, the Knockouts match this week, I thought was fantastic. It was my match of the night just because I look at Angelina Love as being pretty mediocre at best as far as wrestling goes. But Angelina Love versus Gail Kim, especially how they built it up, reminding the fans and Angelina Love reminding Gail Kim that she's held the title more than Gail as far as quantity. I thought was kind of cool, and that she was going to, prove to Gail tonight that she was better than her. Obviously Gail Kim won, but I thought Angelina Love did a lot to show her worth.
Yeah, absolutely. In recent years, she's definitely shown more as a singles wrestler.
Yeah.
The initial run with the Beautiful People, I think they did a lot to build her up, but it was obvious when they brought that faction back this time around, it didn't have the same spark. And I don't know if it's because Angelina and Velvet really weren't interested in it, or if it was just something with booking or what have you.
It's Velvet.
Well, maybe. You and Joe, I'm not in the same boat with you guys when it comes to those two. I am a little more positive about them, but yeah, regardless of that, it's obvious that Angelina is better now as a singles wrestler. So it's good that we're starting to see that again.
Yeah, Velvet to me was the worst wrestler on the roster. So having her partner with Angelina Love, I think, like Angelina made this statement that she had been held back because of who she had partnered with. So I think that was a total dig at Velvet, but to me, like, I know that to her it was probably, storyline, but to me it's legit. Because we haven't seen this type of wrestling ability from Angelina Love since she returned. So, I don't know. To me, this gave me a lot more confidence in the Knockouts division. For so long, I thought that this current Knockouts division has been weak. You only have a few contenders. Now that we have got Awesome Kong back, Havoc will be returning soon. You've got Taryn, you've got Gail Kim, and now you have Angelina Love proving that she can hang in that level. I think overall the Knockouts are back.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely glad to see another strong contender for the title.
All right, so this week we did also get to see the relinquishing of the tag team championships. The Wolves are no longer tag team champions. They lost I'm sorry. Eddie Edwards is hurt. He got hurt in a one night only taping. They showed the x-rays. They showed the injury. So he's out. He's out for an extended period of time. I imagine it's a broken heel, so he's probably out at least 6 months, I would imagine. So that leaves no one as your tag team champion. So this week's question of the week: who do you want to see be the next tag team champion? Hopefully we'll have some more time next week to devote to talk about that, specifically because, maybe they'll start a tournament. Maybe they'll just have a team versus team, Hardys versus Revolution, just because I think that's really the only two tag teams outside of maybe the Bromans. There's not a lot of tag teams on the roster. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens next week, but we'll spend a little bit more time on that. Nick, your win of the week.
My win of the week, I think it's got to be the continuation of the main event style entrances. When the main event rolled around, they did a little bit shorter, but it was in the same vein as the entrances from the first match between those two. And I'm hoping that sticks around as just a thing when you've got a title match going on for your main event. I hope that sticks around. Okay.
My win of the week is going to be the Knockouts match. Again, I thought this week's Knockouts match, maybe match of the night is too strong of a term, but just the fact that they proved that, especially Angelina Love, that she can hang with someone like Gail Kim, really adds a lot more depth to the Knockouts division and really puts them back on the map. So I'm totally excited to where this is going next. Nick, your fail? My fail, aside from the obvious one for the Impact Zone crowd, I got to give it to the Ghost Asylum spot. You didn't like that? Those guys are such terrible actors. Totally. When Abyss and Koya stood up and they all take a step back as one, go, raise their hands. That was so fake. I know it's a ghost hunting show, so there's a lot of that to go around. But that was just so cheesy. It was almost as if they took fighting stances. Yeah, like not like legit fighting stances, but the stuff you see in Power Rangers. Oh yeah, right. It was just so goofy. Yeah, it was cutesy. I think. I mean, I feel like they did well with what they had. The idea is cheesy for sure. But it's wrestling cheesy. I was okay with it. But I'm with you. It was a bit awkward. You know,
I'm not taking any man seriously when he says something like spookies with complete and utter lack of irony.
You know, it's also weird because we've seen like stuff like this before, and I don't know if TNA's ever done anything like this before, but we've seen the cross promotions between WWE and Sci-Fi or whatever, where they have like ghost stories or you know, whatever those shows are. But the wrestlers that go are always out of character, and this was like completely in character. This is James Storm's barn. That's where they're going.
Yeah.
I just thought it was weird. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, like that much. And insofar as they at least tried to tie in a wrestler that could kind of go along with that. I respect the effort that they put into setting that up, but it's just so damn goofy.
Yeah. My fail of the week is just going to go to the, you know, just the lack of an authority figure. We've got the Wolves dropping the titles, and they're not handing it to anyone. They're just putting it on. They're just putting the titles on the turnbuckles, and that's it. And there's no way to really suggest what's going to happen next. There's just, you know, we're just sitting here assuming that, you know, there'll be a tournament because that's what happens in wrestling. But I think the story would be told a lot better with someone in charge that could make these decisions. So, all right, on that note, just took a look at the clock, and we're going along as always. So let's just go ahead and close up. If you are an FTW community member, stick around. We're gonna stick around for a few more minutes just to continue this conversation. And yeah, so let's do this. If you aren't supporting this series by either spreading the word or being a member of the FTW community, you can do so now by heading to fanstalktna.com. There you can check out the entire archive, but also the Fans Talk TNA exclusive iTunes and Stitcher feeds. We did separate those out, so if you're just here for the TNA conversation, now you can get it through this feed. There you guys can also, you know, leave reviews and ratings, let people know that they should be listening to us, and joining the conversation with us. You know, there aren't many TNA exclusive podcast series out there. You know, there's, the Talk TNA podcast. We're friends with, David and Claudia. Very good podcast. But outside of that, there really isn't anyone else talking exclusively TNA. So, help us get up higher in the listing. So when you search for TNA, we're right up there at the top. You can also pledge a few dollars a month our way to get early access to content like this, as well as help motivate us to spend a little bit more time each week to talk wrestling with you. So let's keep the conversation going. You can reach us on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, YouTube, as well as the comments on the site. All of that information is on fanstalktna.com. And if you listen on demand through a service that allows you to leave ratings and reviews, please do so. Take a moment, let people know that this is where they should be talking TNA. See you guys next week.
Now let's go.
All right, Nick, final thoughts? Anything before we head out?
I feel like this is going to be a weekly thing where I beg TNA to get out of the Impact Zone. But specifically, I get that you pay a certain amount for a ticket, or in this case, you pay for your pass to get in around a number of locations. You pay for your ticket, you get a certain latitude in what you chant, in what you cheer for. And that's fine. If you want to be a dick about it and decide to go into business for yourself, you're still a dick, but that's your right to do so. But for the love of God, if you want to chant for CM Punk, go to UFC show. He's not even in wrestling anymore.
Was there a CM Punk chant?
Somebody tried to get one started. They got in a couple of chants before somebody shut him down. I specifically heard somebody tell that moron that he's in UFC now.
Hey,
so,
you notice how the audio is fading away? Dude, that is your cue to go to fanstalktna.com right now, click the big green button, and pledge by joining the FTW community. All we're asking for is $3 a month. $3 a month or more will give you bonus content like the entire full version of Fans Talk TNA. And if you go a little higher, you can also get the full version, the full uncut version of the main FTW podcast. We release bonus content throughout the week, as well as full episodes, some other patron exclusive stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and we want you to be a part of it. So please, drop a few dollars our way. Let us know that we're doing a good job, and motivate us to come back here each and every week to talk more and more wrestling with you. FansTalkTNA.com. Click the big green button, pledge, and listen to the full conversation.